The voicemail was not discovered immediately. It remained unheard for hours, then days, stored on a phone far from where events were unfolding. When it was finally played, investigators understood it might represent the final confirmed trace of a young woman who had disappeared without explanation. The message was not a plea for help, nor did it convey panic or fear. Its tone was calm, measured, and routine. That ordinariness is what later made it unsettling. The voicemail had been left only hours before the woman vanished. At the time, its significance was not recognized. In retrospect, it became one of the most critical pieces of evidence in the case. After the message was left, there was no further communication. No calls, no texts, no verified sightings. Only silence. The question that continues to trouble investigators and the public is whether the voicemail was a simple reassurance or an unrecognized farewell. Maura Murray was 21 years old in February 2004. She was a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst and was regarded as disciplined, reserved, and highly independent. She was a competitive runner, worked multiple campus jobs, and appeared outwardly focused and determined. However, in the weeks before her disappearance, signs of mounting strain became evident. Shortly before she vanished, Maura had been involved in a car accident while driving her father's vehicle. Days later, she experienced an emotional breakdown at work that required her supervisor to escort her back to her dormitory. Academic pressure, financial concerns, and personal stress appeared to converge during this period. On February 9th, 2004, Maura emailed her professors stating there had been a death in her family and that she would be absent for about a week. Investigators later confirmed this claim was false. That same day, she searched online for directions to destinations in Vermont and New Hampshire. She reserved a hotel room in Vermont, but never arrived. She withdrew nearly all the funds from her bank account and packed personal belongings, including clothing and toiletries. Later that afternoon, she left the university campus in her black Saturn sedan. That evening, at approximately 7:27 p.m., Maura's vehicle was involved in a single-car accident on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. Nearby residents heard the impact and contacted authorities. When a police officer arrived about 10 minutes later, the vehicle was locked and abandoned. Maura was not at the scene. Despite extensive searches of the surrounding area, including tracking dogs and coordinated ground efforts, no confirmed trace of her was found. There were no clear footprints leading away from the crash site and no verified sightings afterward. From that moment, Maura Murray effectively vanished. Earlier that same day, before the crash and before her disappearance, Maura attempted to contact her boyfriend, Bill Roche, who was stationed with the United States Army in Oklahoma. When he did not answer, she left a voicemail message. The voicemail has never been publicly released in full. Knowledge of its contents comes from law enforcement summaries and statements by Bill Roche and Maura's family. According to those sources, the message was brief. Maura expressed affection, stated she would be out of cell phone range for a period of time, and told him not to worry. By the time the voicemail was heard, Maura had already been reported missing. Initially, investigators did not view the message as suspicious. Leaving a voicemail while traveling was not unusual, and nothing in its tone suggested immediate danger. Early assumptions leaned toward the possibility that Maura had voluntarily removed herself from her environment, perhaps to clear her mind or escape mounting pressure. These assumptions influenced the direction and urgency of the investigation. The case was treated, in part, as a possible voluntary absence. Search efforts focused primarily on the immediate crash area rather than broader criminal possibilities. Early media coverage reflected uncertainty rather than alarm. Over time, however, the voicemail raised questions. Phone records established that the message was left during a narrow window between Maura's departure from campus and the later discovery of her abandoned vehicle. Cellular data suggested she was already traveling north when it was recorded. She had informed her boyfriend she would be unreachable, and shortly afterward, she was. What initially seemed coincidental began to appear deliberate. Family members questioned why Maura would mislead her professors, withdraw most of her cash, and leave without clearly stating her destination, yet still make the effort to reassure her boyfriend. Some speculated the voicemail may have been intended to delay concern or reduced the likelihood of immediate alarm. Others believed it showed she expected to return and did not anticipate permanent disappearance. Investigators examined the voicemail's metadata, including its timing and transmission network. There was no indication of manipulation or interference. The recording was authentic, but it lacked clarity. Witness accounts added complexity. A local bus driver reported briefly speaking with a young woman, matching Mora's description shortly after crash. According to police documentation, she appeared shaken but declined assistance, stating that roadside help had already been contacted. Phone records later confirmed no such call had been made. That discrepancy was noted but not immediately prioritized. For years, the voicemail remained a secondary detail. Investigative theories range from accidental exposure to voluntary disappearance to third-party involvement. Each theory encountered the same unresolved element: Mora's calm voice telling someone she loved not to worry. As the case aged and was revisited by cold case investigators, the voicemail was examined more closely. Advances in cellular analysis allowed for more precise understanding of call timing and location behavior. With renewed scrutiny, the message took on new meaning. Investigators began to view the voicemail not simply as communication, but as a deliberate setting of expectations. Mora was normalizing absence and framing silence as temporary. In missing person investigations, such framing can delay concern and response. This realization did not explain what ultimately happened to Maura Murray, but it reshaped how her disappearance was interpreted. The voicemail was no longer neutral. It became contextual evidence, raising difficult questions about her state of mind and intentions. Authorities have stated there is no definitive evidence that Maura intended to end her life. No note was found, and no confirmed plan was identified. Her disappearance does not clearly fit a single explanation. Today, the case remains unsolved. The voicemail remains one of the few pieces of evidence recorded directly by Maura herself. It captures her voice, her tone, and her deliberate choice of words. It does not explain where she went or what happened, but it continues to shape how the mystery is understood. The most unsettling aspect of the message is not what Maura said, but that she said anything at all. She reached out, reassured, and then disappeared. The question remains whether that voicemail was a routine update or the final moment in which she shaped how her absence would be perceived.